G'day and welcome back, fellow Squad 44 enthusiasts. My name's Azza, and today I've got 10 tips, tricks and tweaks for Squad 44 that should hopefully help you out on the battlefield. Anyway, let's not stuff around and we'll jump straight in with tip number 1. So first up, a trick that a lot of players, both new and old, don't know is that you can take down an enemy rally by holding down the F key. It's that simple, but something to look out for is that the UI might disappear from the screen while you're holding down that F key. If that happens, don't stress, just keep holding it and the rally will disappear. Next up, here's a trick for how to get the most out of your mortars. So as a squad leader, you can simply drop an attack marker on the map, and your mortar guy can use his compass to get an almost exact direction and distance to his target. It's one of those new features that some people don't really like, but you might as well use it to your advantage because you know the enemy is. It saves a heap of time and effort. So as a squad leader, remember to drop those marks and use that mortar man. If you've got the mortar kit yourself, make sure you're asking for those marks because without that guesswork you're going to be way more effective. Tip number 3. Alright, this one's a simple tip that most people know about, but I still see it mentioned way too often, so I thought I'd include it anyway. I'm talking about the game being locked at 60 FPS. There's usually only one of two things going on here. The first one being that you're on the main menu and you don't realise that the menu is locked to 60 FPS. There's nothing you can do about it. The second thing is that if you go into your video settings, that you'll see there is a max FPS set, and by default it's set to 60. So you either need to make that 0 to completely unlock it, or you set it to your monitor refresh rate or something higher. But yeah, they're pretty much the only two reasons you'll be locked at 60 FPS. Alright, tip number 4. Here's a classic tip for troubleshooting that most people, including myself, often overlook, and that's clearing your cache. I know it sounds like a throwaway line, but believe it or not, it actually works sometimes, so why not give it a try? If you're running into issues, don't skip this step. You can do it in-game, or you can do it manually by going to the local app data folder, looking for the PostScriptum folder and completely deleting that. That will clear your cache completely, reset all your settings back to how they should be at default. Alright, tip number 5. For those of you rocking a 4K setup, you might find yourself unintentionally shooting more friendlies than the average guy due to the name tags being so small. I feel your pain, but don't worry, there's a way to fix it. You go into your game user settings.ini file and you have to increase the name tag scale size. I run mine at 2, I've got a mate who runs his at 4, just play around with it and find what works for you. Now here's a cool trick for getting rid of those trucks. What you want to do is chuck your magnetic mines on the fuel tank instead of the engine block. To find the fuel tank, you got to look for the box that's behind the cab on most vehicles. If you stick your magnetic mine on there, it's going to blow up every single time. Next up, we've got tip number 7, and this one's for the commander. If you're using artillery, here's a neat trick. Firing fuel rounds is going to give you a quicker reload time. So if you're firing just 4 rounds, you're going to have a shorter cooldown than if you fire 8 rounds. You can use this to keep your artillery support rolling in when it's needed the most. It means that you can have sustained fire without those big long breaks in between. I guarantee your teammates are going to love it. Now on to tip number 8. Now this tip isn't specific to Squad 44, but with grenades being so deadly in this game, it's a trick that really pays off. What you want to do is arc your grenade up at a high angle so it explodes above the enemies hiding behind cover. It'll either kill them, wound them, or at the least it'll make them shit themselves. And now for tip number 9. Phosphorus smoke burns. I mean, it's pretty straightforward I thought, but it seems to happen quite a bit, so I just thought I'd put it out there. This shit really fucks you up, so be careful with it. And now for tip number 10, the ultimate tip for Squad 44 as chosen by me. But first, I just want to say thanks for making it this far through the video, and I also want to give a big shout out to all the guys over at the CI5 Discord because they're the ones that gave me most of the tips that I'm sharing with you right now. But anyway, without further ado, here's tip number 10. Have fun. Anyway, take it easy and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.